ساتوی پسرو وینو دا د شهیدانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور ساتوی پسرو وینو دا د شهیدانو کور دا
Good evening. Today is Saturday, December 7, 2024. I'm Suleiman Talash and you are watching RTA News. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in response to Norway's decision to downgrade diplomatic relations with Afghanistan, says that such decisions should not be linked to the internal affairs of countries. The spokesperson for the ministry emphasizes that access to consular services is a fundamental right of every individual and has called on all sides to prioritize this principle based on the spirit of international cooperation. On the other hand, some political experts say that instead of reducing diplomatic relations, countries should increase their interactions with Afghanistan. Let's see more in the report.
The deputy spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Emirate, in response to Norway's decision to downgrade diplomatic relations with Afghanistan, says that such decisions should not be linked to the internal affairs of countries. Hafizia Ahmad Takal adds that access to the consular services is a fundamental right of every individual and has called on all parties to prioritize this principle based on the spirit of international cooperation. The Norwegian Foreign Ministry had previously announced that it would limit its relations with Afghanistan and would not accept the new ambassador of the Islamic Emirate.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan expresses its dissatisfaction with the decision of the royal government of Norway to reduce the level of diplomatic relations. We hope that such decisions will not be related to the internal affairs of countries.
On the other hand, some political experts say that instead of reducing diplomatic relations, countries should increase their interaction with Afghanistan.
Sanctions and severance of relations do not solve problems. Rather, they complicate problems. Countries should use diplomatic methods to resolve problems. I hope that the country of Norway will establish relations with us based on the national interests of both sides, not by continuing systematic pressure to implement political interests.
This is why the officials of the Islamic Emirate have always said that they want positive interaction with all countries of the world based on the mutual respect.
Maulavi Nida Muhammad Nadeem, Minister of Higher Education, and Maulavi Habibullah Agha, Minister of Education, addressed a large gathering of teachers and students during their visit to Jamia Darul Uloom Al Hakimiyya in Kandahar province. The ministers praised the services and efforts of the teachers in their speeches and recommendations during this large gathering and emphasized on the quality and improvement of knowledge. They also provided good and important instructions and recommendations to the teachers and students. During the meeting, both ministers reminded the teachers and students of their duties and responsibilities in adhering to the implementing the curriculum approved by Amir al-Mu'minin Hafazahullah, the leader of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. During his visit to Turkmenistan, Dr. Abdul Bari Omar, General Executive Director of the Afghanistan Electricity Company, and his accompanying delegation signed an energy import agreement for 2025. Under this agreement, electricity will be imported from Turkmenistan to Afghanistan through 4 routes: Andkhui, Aqina, Badghis, and Torghunde Herat. Maulavi Sardar Ahmad Shakib, the ambassador of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan in Islamabad, met with the member of the Senate of Pakistan and former Minister of Religious Affairs Muhammad Talha Mahmood and discussed the trade relations and investment between the two countries. Meanwhile, the Consul of the Islamic Emirate in Karachi, Pakistan, Abdul Jabbar Takhari, discussed with the officials of the Chamber of Commerce and Investment of that country about further strengthening the trade relations between the two countries and eliminating the existing problems. We have more details in the report. Maulavi Sardar Ahmad Shakib, the ambassador of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan in Islamabad, met with a member of the Senate of Pakistan and former Minister of Religious Affairs Muhammad Talha Mahmood and discussed the strengthening of the trade relations between the two countries. Discussions were held on how a mechanism should be created for this, what advice should be shared, how to strengthen relations between the two sides, and especially progress in trade. The trade volume between the two countries has decreased due to several sanctions, security problems, and others. At the same time, Abdul Jabbar Takhari, the consul of the Islamic Emirate in Karachi, Pakistan, discussed with the officials of the Chamber of Commerce and Investment of that country about further strengthening the trade relations between the two countries and eliminating the existing problems. Efforts have been made to eliminate the deflects in the trade sector of both sides, so that trade can return to its previous level. There should be a continuity of trade flows so that trade and non-trade problems can be resolved, and efforts should be made to separate trade from political affairs. On the other hand, officials of the Pakistan-Afghanistan Joint Chamber of Commerce and Industry said that the level of exports from Afghanistan has decreased this year, and asked the relevant officials not to politicize the trade issue. In total, exports have decreased by 16 to 17% this year. The figures for their imports, which were compiled by the Central Census 6 months ago, have increased by about 10 or 20%. But our exports to them have decreased compared to last year because they imposed restrictions on us. It would be great if we could determine the policy and strategy on average 1 to 5 years in advance. They should be reviewed annually. According to officials of the Pakistan-Afghanistan Joint Chamber of Commerce and Industries, although exports from Pakistan to other countries benefit both countries due to some problems, they do not have access to them and are using alternative ways to maintain the value of Afghanistan's exports. The Ministry of Higher Education has announced the creation of 36 new master's degree programs and 11 new doctoral degrees programs in the country's universities this year. According to the spokesperson for the ministry, 26 of the master's degree programs have been created in Emirati universities and 10 in private universities. Maulana Islam Jar, the governor of Herat province, supervised the practical work of the TAPI project in the border area of Afghanistan and Turkmenistan and stressed accelerating the work of the project. According to local officials, the governor of Herat met with the Director General of the TAPI project and called it a decisive project for the economic growth of Afghanistan and Turkmenistan. And the final one is that Coast Municipality announces the burning of 3 tons of expired and poor quality food and hygiene products in the province. According to Coast Municipality, these food and hygiene products were collected from the city's markets over the past 3 months and were burned in the presence of a delegation of relevant departments. That's all for tonight. Stay with us to stay updated. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
شهیدانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور دا د باتورانو کور ساتوي پسرو وینو دا د شهیدانو کور دا